Well, it sounds like a plan. Senator Welsh.
Thank you very much. Ms. Dillon, who won the 2020 election for president?
Senator, I previously testified on this matter. President Biden was declared the winner of that election, and I honor that and respect that.
But you can't say he won.
I mean, he was the president for 4 years. He clearly was the president.
Most of us know that. I'm asking if he won.
I've answered your question, Senator.
But you haven't.
Welcome back to America First. Everyone, before we dive into today's content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on the latest government accountability discussions. Your support helps us bring you important information about what's happening in Washington. Today, we're examining a recent Senate hearing that raises important questions about government transparency and accountability. This transcript shows a heated exchange between Senator Welsh and Assistant Attorney General Dillon that touches on several critical issues every American should understand.
I want to ask you a question about Texas redistricting. As you know, President Trump has recently encouraged, I'll use that, Texas Republicans to do mid-cycle redistricting in order to gain more seats in the House of Representatives. I understand that after the president made that decision or that announcement, you personally sent a letter on July 7 to Texas in your capacity as Assistant Attorney General, arguing that 4 Democratic districts violate federal law. Is that the case?
It is the case that I sent a letter under my authority to administer the Voting Rights Act and indicate that in light of our analysis of 4 so-called coalition districts in Texas, that those districts were inconsistent with the Voting Rights Act.
And the date of July 7 was just coincidental, that it occurred after the president had called on the Texas legislature to do mid-decade redistricting?
I don't remember what date, Senator. I probably sent 300 letters since I've been in this office. And so what I can say is that I send no letter or make no request without proper investigation.
Have you sent any other state legislature a letter where you have indicated that districts within their state are in violation of federal law?
Not yet.
More redistricting to come?
I don't know. I have to investigate the facts.
Before you sent the letter on July 7, did you have any conversation with any representatives of the White House?
Senator, as you're aware, there are privileges that are involved in all executive branch communications, and I'm not able to testify without breaching the Department of Justice's guidelines in that regard, so I'm unable to answer any questions about conversations I may have had with other executive branch officials.
I'm not asking you what the content of the conversation was. I'm asking whether there was any conversation with anyone from the White House before you sent that July 7 letter.
Well, Senator, I have the same answer. I think you're aware of the broad scope of privileges that apply to lawyers' conduct.
Well, here's what I'm aware of. The president made a directive, which is highly unusual, telling a legislature, the Texas legislature, mid-decade to do redistricting when we do that every 10 years. And it just so happened that the Assistant Attorney General sent a letter to that legislature after the president made his announcement and said that your investigation suggests 4 districts are in violation of federal law.
Is there a question, Senator?
There's a point here that it's hard to believe that that wasn't coordinated.
Well, let me draw your attention to a different fact that refutes your argument, namely the governor of the state that I called home for 25 years also called for redistricting in the state of California, and I haven't sent a letter to California. So correlation is not causation, Senator.
Which 4 districts did you say are in violation?
I did not come here to testify about that, but if you wish to have a follow-up with me about it, I'm happy to pull up my research. I'm not.
Would I be surprised that those were Democratic districts?
I don't know how to answer that, Senator. I'm not here
Well,
to
just
testify
answer
about
with the
that. I'm
facts.
sure it's convenient to try to distract from the purpose of this hearing, which is to talk about DEI, but that is not what I'm prepared to testify about here today, Senator.
You have put a freeze on activities that the Justice Department in your division had done before, and you have walked out of settlements. I'm going to talk about Lowndes County in Alabama.
Senator, I think you're misinformed. There was a temporary freeze prior to my taking office. There's no freeze on activities. I filed numerous lawsuits, opened dozens and dozens of investigations, entered into numerous settlements, opened hate crime investigations involving numerous religious backgrounds. So I don't know what you're talking about, Senator.
Well, I don't have that much time, so we'll have to.
The hearing begins with what should be a straightforward question about the 2020 presidential election. When directly asked who won, the Assistant Attorney General provides what many would consider an evasive response, saying President Biden was declared the winner rather than giving a direct answer. This type of careful language from government officials often leaves citizens wondering why simple questions can't receive simple answers. The discussion then shifts to a significant issue involving Texas redistricting. Here's what we know from the testimony. President Trump publicly encouraged Texas Republicans to pursue mid-cycle redistricting to gain more House seats. Shortly after this announcement, on July 7th, Assistant Attorney General Dillon sent a letter to Texas officials claiming 4 Democratic districts violated federal law. When Senator Welsh questions the timing, Dillon claims it's coincidental, stating she sent approximately 300 letters since taking office. However, when pressed about whether she sent similar violation letters to other states, she admits she hasn't. This raises legitimate questions about selective enforcement and priorities within the Department of Justice. The conversation becomes particularly revealing when Senator Welsh asks about potential coordination with the White House. Dillon refuses to answer whether she had any conversations with White House representatives before sending the Texas letter, citing executive privilege. It's worth noting that the senator wasn't asking for the content of conversations, merely whether they occurred at all. This invocation of executive privilege for basic procedural questions demonstrates how government officials can use legal protections to avoid transparency. Citizens have a right to understand whether federal agencies are coordinating their actions with political directives from the executive branch. Dillon attempts to counter accusations of coordination by pointing out that California's governor also called for redistricting, yet she didn't send a letter there. While she argues this shows correlation is not causation, critics might point out that California and Texas have very different political landscapes and legal situations. The hearing also touches on claims about freezes on Justice Department activities and walking away from settlements. Dillon disputes these characterizations, claiming she's actually increased enforcement activities, including lawsuits, investigations, and settlements. These competing narratives highlight the importance of citizens staying informed about how their government agencies operate. What makes this exchange particularly significant is how it illustrates the challenge of government oversight. Senators, representing the people, ask direct questions about the use of federal power, while executive branch officials often provide careful, legalistic responses that may not fully satisfy public concerns about accountability. The timing questions raised in this hearing deserve serious consideration. When federal enforcement actions appear to align closely with political announcements, citizens should expect clear explanations from their government. The Department of Justice's credibility depends on the appearance of independence from political influence. This transcript also demonstrates the importance of congressional oversight hearings. These sessions, while sometimes contentious, serve as one of the few forums where executive branch officials must answer questions under oath about their actions and decisions. For viewers interested in government accountability, this hearing highlights several key principles. First, the importance of direct answers to direct questions from our elected representatives. Second, the need for transparency in how federal agencies coordinate their activities. Third, the critical role of timing in evaluating whether government actions are driven by law enforcement priorities or political considerations. The broader lesson here is that citizens must stay engaged with these oversight processes. When government officials appear evasive or invoke privileges to avoid answering basic procedural questions, it's our responsibility to demand better from our institutions. Moving forward, it will be important to monitor whether the Department of Justice provides more detailed explanations about its redistricting enforcement priorities, and whether similar scrutiny is applied consistently across all states, regardless of their political composition. This hearing reminds us that effective democracy requires both strong institutions and vigilant citizens who hold those institutions accountable. Whether you agree with the policies being discussed or not, we should all expect transparency and clear communication from our government officials. That's our analysis for today. What are your thoughts on this exchange? Do you think the Assistant Attorney General provided adequate transparency, or do you believe more accountability is needed? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content examining government accountability. Thanks for watching America First, and we'll see you in the next video.